Welcome to the Motivational Medium podcast. I'm Anne-Marie Lord, a psychic medium, author, and the founder of the Motivational Medium Academy. On this podcast, we'll explore intriguing topics such as mediumship, psychic abilities, and the amazing idea that we all have intuition within us. Whether you're a believer, skeptic, or somewhere in between, get ready to unlock your extraordinary potential as we discover the supernatural world together. If you want your questions featured on the show, be sure to join my tribe by subscribing to my newsletter at annemarielord.com. Let's go. Hello, my lovely friend. Welcome to the podcast. I'm really excited about today's podcast because a few weeks ago, what I did was I sent out a newsletter to all the people who were on my newsletter. And the question was, if you had a question to ask a medium, what would you ask? Oh my God, I had so many answers and so many questions sent back that I got really excited. And obviously I can't answer every single one of them. So I've picked out a few. I've picked out 4. I will get to all of them. So you can ask me anything you like, and I will pick out some questions and answer them on the podcast. If you want to ask the medium a question, i.e. me, then send me an email to annemarie@annemarielord.com or sign up for my newsletter at annemarielord.com and you will be able to ask me a question through the website. Okay, so ask the medium a question. I felt quite nervous about doing this because I actually didn't know what people were going to ask. So here goes. So I had, some people want to be kept anonymous and some people don't mind the first names being mentioned. So I've got 4 questions that I'm going to get through on this podcast today. And I hope you stay with me and I hope you enjoy these. So let's dive right in to the first question, which absolutely tickled me because, well, let me tell you what it was anyway. This is a question of a lady called Jane, and she messaged and said, can you always contact the spirit you want when you go to see a medium? So I know from when people come to see me and they'll say things like, I've been onto my team all day today and I've been asking them to come through, or I've been on to this certain person and I've been asking them to come through. Now, we can't, as mediums, we cannot guarantee who's going to come through, unfortunately. We never know who's going to come through. And the majority of the time, we've never met the person sitting in front of us before. So we don't know, which is a good thing, I think, because I find it harder to read for people who I know than to read for people who I don't know. It's like a blank canvas and I just trust and let spirit take the wheel, if you like. And we just merge our energies together and see what happens. But can you always contact the spirit that you want? I would say 9 times out of 10, the spirit that you want does usually show up. Sometimes it might be someone like your mum might show up first, or somebody else might show up. If you wanted to hear from your husband and then your mum showed up, she might be just really excited to come in and see you. But the spirit world are really intelligent and they do understand that who you've came to see, really. So there's a lot of factors involved in this. Now, when I go to do my readings, obviously I sit in meditation for a little while. I talk to spirit, I talk to my guides. Every reading that I ask for your loved ones who want to speak to you to come through. So you've obviously contacted them earlier on without you knowing it, really, and said to them, come on, Mum, I want to hear from you today, or come on, Dad, or whoever it is that you want to hear from. And as I say, the majority of the time, that'll be the person who comes through. But what I would say is when you go to have your reading, don't be so focused just on one spirit coming through, because it might be somebody else that's coming through first and you will totally miss their beautiful connection and their amazing communication with you because you've got your heart and your mind and your soul and your spirit and everything else set on this one person coming through. So if you go to see a medium and you want a certain person to come through, please be open, be open to that person coming through, but also be open to everybody else in the spirit world coming through too. Because if you get somebody else come through in the beginning and you take that message and you're working with that message, then the chances are that they will bring through the person that you want. And it could be something so simple as the person that you want to speak to may not have been in the spirit world that long, and the person that comes through has been itching to come and talk to you for like 15 years, So have an open mind, I would say, when you go to see a medium. And also, if that person doesn't come through, towards the end of the reading, which the majority of the time they do come through, 9 times out of 10 they do come through. However, towards the end of the reading, the medium that you're going to see will give you an opportunity to ask some questions or to get involved, maybe just before the reading ends or 15 minutes before the reading ends. And if you haven't heard from your person or your spirit, if you like, then please feel free to ask, can they come through? And if the medium will go then and try and blend and connect and ask this person to step forward, and the chances are that they'll be able to step forward. But again, there's no guarantees. So can you always contact the spirit you want when you go to see a medium? Majority of the time, yes. All of the time, maybe not. In my experiences of doing this, the person who you come to hear from 9 times out of 10 comes through, but it cannot be guaranteed. And this is, as I always say in every podcast or anything that I do, this is my opinion and this is my experience through working with the spirit world on a daily basis. I do not know everything, and it'll be a long time, and I don't think I ever will know everything because I learn in this job every single day, absolutely every single day. Like a guy came through to me today. He was a lady's husband, and then her dad came through and he showed me that he worked with coal. And she didn't know how he passed. And straight away, while she was asking this question as, how did my dad pass? I don't know how he passed. Straight away, I heard him say mesothelioma. They can use things like that because I spent so many years as a nurse and also 12 years working within palliative care. So when he said to me straight away, mesothelioma, and I knew he was a coal miner, I was like, I don't even know whether that's possible. I didn't know people who worked in coal mines could actually get mesothelioma, and I just thought it was people who worked with asbestosis. And when I looked it up, it actually says that one of the people that do get mesothelioma is people who've worked in the mines. So it was absolutely fascinating. So it was like a double validation, really. He showed me he had mesothelioma and he worked in the mines. And yeah, it was amazing. Oh, and another funny thing happened with this reading as well. I brought this lady's brother through who was called Gary, and a husband who was called Gary, but her husband gave me the name Leonard, and Leonard was actually his father's name, and he kept referring to himself as Gary with an L. He was really funny guy, this guy. So yeah, that reading was amazing. But as I'm talking about that to you, letting you know as well that even though she came to speak to her husband, her brother came through first and her dad came through as well. So lots and lots of information during that reading. But, if you're going to see somebody, if you're going to speak to a medium, just keep an open mind on who you want to speak to so that you don't miss the beautiful messages from all of your loved ones in spirit. And the person that you're there to see, if they don't come through straight away, they probably will eventually come through, but no guarantees. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. Now, this next question is totally different. Can I become a medium? I've had a lot of inner knowing since I was younger. Do you think I could develop this? And this lady's called Colette. Okay, Colette. So, do I think you can develop this? Absolutely. I think, and this is again just my personal opinion, I believe that we all have an inner knowing. We all have an intuition. If you've read my book, The Grateful Three Approach to Life, you'll hear me say that the way we get to this world is we don't know, we can't get no guidance to say like, you come down the canal and you're going to get here in 20 minutes or whatever. Your intuition and your instinct are what get you into this world. Plus your mum is a big help, However, do we have a heightened intuition when we're first born? Absolutely. And I also believe that the veil between the spirit world, where we've just come from, this is my belief, where we've just come from to incarnate into this world, I believe that veil is really, really thin until they can take the training wheels off, if you like. So let me try and explain that. So when we get here and we're newborn babies, we don't know what sound is. We don't know how to talk. We don't know how to communicate. We don't know how to ask for things. We don't even know what we're seeing. So all our tangible senses are not really that handy to us in the beginning. But the one thing that is our instinct and our intuition. And if there's a mum there or there's a parent or a dad and they've got lots of like anxiety around this new baby, then you might find you've got a crying baby. But then you've got a mum or a dad or a parent or a guardian who's really chilled out and really relaxed. And then you've got a baby who's really chilled out and really relaxed. And the only thing is that they can feel energies. They can feel the atmosphere. They can feel the energy within their vicinity, if you like. They've got this connection of consciousness, and the consciousness is either, stressed out or the consciousness is relaxed, if that makes sense. So do we have an inner knowing? Absolutely, we're born with it. Do we have a heightened intuition? Absolutely, we're born with it. But what happens is when the tangible senses like your vision and your hearing and your taste and your smell and your touch, when they start making sense, I believe we lose our intuition slightly, not a lot. Some of us don't lose it at all. But the majority of us lose our heightened intuition. So what you have to do is then bring that back up and develop it. The same with mediumship. You need to develop it. You need to trust and feel. I mean, you'll talk about mediumship till you're blue in the face. And the biggest thing that comes from mediumship is trust. It's about just relaxing into it and allowing spirit to come in. Like I went on a course the other week and it was with a gorgeous guy called Chris Drew from the UK. And he had us doing this exercise where you were blindfolded and you didn't know who was going to sit in front of you. And so your eyes was closed and, the person, you didn't see them before they sat in front of you. And then they just sat in front of you and you started reading for that person and you had nothing to go on. None of your tangible senses were connecting to this person. You couldn't see them. You couldn't hear them. There was no feedback. And the readings was mind-blowing. I found it fascinating to get all this information with your eyes shut. It was like, just go for it. There was nothing to lose. So, yeah, and even mediums like me, who's been working for years, we still go on courses. We still educate ourselves. You never stop learning. And that to me was fascinating. So to trust and blend with spirit and allow them to guide you and to show you takes practice. So can you develop this? I would say absolutely. But what you need to do is find yourself a teacher, find yourself a group or even one of the spiritual churches. Find yourself a place where you feel comfortable, where you feel connected, where you feel no judgment, because you'll get enough of that from yourself, in the beginning, and where you're allowed to relax into this and just trust. So can everyone be a medium? And is everyone psychic? Yeah, I believe so anyway. So you've just got to practice, develop. And, it's not just about seeing dead people either, because, people say, oh, I want to see dead people. And, it always makes me smile because I believe that spirit is very much alive in the, in the spirit world. But what I would say is you're going to have to trust your intuition, trust your instinct, and find yourself a great group, one where you can relax into it, one where you can trust all the people that are around you, feel comfortable, and just start developing. Oh, that's what I was going to say to you as well. Mediumship, as I say to you, isn't just about seeing spirit. Mediumship is the delivery of messages, the consciousness, the knowing what is the right thing to say and the wrong thing to say. I'm a great believer that my years, over 30 years spent as a nurse and 12 years in palliative care, absolutely enhances my mediumship because I am very conscious of the way I speak to people. I'm very conscious of the way people feel. I would never give someone something to knowingly, I would never do this, give someone something to be afraid of. People come to me and I say to them, because I keep my energy really, really high in my readings and during my meditation and we chat with spirit before you guys get there, I always say, I do not want to see anything bad. I'm a big believer that things happen to us in life and it happens to every single one of us. However, do I believe knowing about something that's going to happen? Because we're not like fortune tellers. We can't predict that there's a massive certainty going to happen. It doesn't work like that because people have free will. They have free will whether to get married, whether to go and get a job, whether to go into a relationship. Some people might have to go into a bad relationship to find a good one. So by telling someone or trying to stop someone from doing something, we learn a lot of our lessons and a lot of our knowings, if you like, through some of the heartache that we have in life. Sometimes things are not meant for us. And that's when they help us, if you like. Like Tony Robbins, I've heard him say this so many times, and you heard me talk about this with beautiful Sarah Lindley on one of my podcasts, when we talk about life happens for you, not to you. And that sometimes means the absolute horrendous stuff will move us into a different direction. Now, I know everyone will have a different point of view on this. I had a different point of view on this when I first started studying this. So all I say to people is, I don't get nothing bad. I might get you to kick up the bum if you're in, if you're not in the right job, or it's not feeling right for you, or, it's not doing your energy any good, then it's time to move. It's not rocket science. But what I would say is life happens for us, not to us. And I've gone off the subject totally here. Do you need to be with a medium or a psychic who can also deliver messages? Absolutely. So when you're looking for your medium or your psychic or your clairvoyant or your healer, then you need to be looking at people who have got really good communication skills, who have got a lot of background in, how they relay their messages. And you can hear that from other people. The majority of us, we get, I would say 99.9% of my clients come from word of mouth. So, you can speak to the people who recommend and say, what did she deliver her messages like? Was it okay? Or what did he deliver his messages like? And this is, as again, I'm just saying to you, this is all from my experience, not from what other mediums may think or say. That is up to them. But this is from my point of view of working with spirit on nearly a daily basis. Okay, so I hope that helped. So everyone can learn this and develop this, but there is a lot more to being a medium or being a healer or being a psychic or clairvoyant than just connection. This is like a miracle. connecting with spirit or connecting with your auric energy or auric field or your soul. Some people will say psychic is about blending souls. And there's a lot more to it than just that. It's about people's delivery of their messages as well. So I hope that's helped, Colette, and you got something from this. Now, there was another question. I've near enough answered this question. If you see something bad, would you tell the sitter? Now, I've just spoke about that. This is someone else who wants to remain anonymous. And she sent me a message saying, if you see something bad, would you tell the sitter? Well, I've just sort of explained that a little bit. One, I don't really see anything bad. And two, if I seen something absolutely horrendous that I seen in the reading, which I've never, ever, ever, ever done, never seen anything horrendous in a reading. So I don't really know how to answer that. I think I'm just going to answer it with what I say. No, I do not see anything bad. So I would not have a negative or something bad to tell the person sitting in front of me. I remember a lady, her story is actually going in my new book. And I remember this lady came to see me and it absolutely touched my heart. I cried when I read her letter. When you receive information from the spirit world, they are very conscious of the medium that they're working with. And also they're very conscious of you. They know you. They know who you are. They know how you would react to certain messages. So how they will help me deliver the messages to you. It's like a group connection, really. So let me tell you this story. This lady came to see me and we were having a reading and it was really, really good. And I think it was her granddad off the top of my head. I can't remember. I'm sure it was her granddad. Oh no, I think it was her father-in-law. Anyway, he came through and he was given lots and lots of evidence because I'm an evidential medium. But he was given lots and lots of evidence of who he was. And, his whole presence I felt was in the room. And, the sitter sitting with me, she could feel that this whole presence was in the room. Anyway, this reading was going on and going on. And he put his hand on my tummy and I didn't see anything bad whatsoever. And he put his hand on my tummy because sometimes they'll place the hand on my body, if you like, to show me something that may be going on. So he put his hand on my stomach and straight away I said to the lady, oh, he's just put his hand on my stomach. I said, that's usually to show me that there's an area of healing that needs to be given. And straight away, before I could say who it was for or what it was about, which I hadn't seen at that time, she said to me, oh yeah, I've been having a few issues with my stomach, so I'm actually going to get it checked. And then I could hear him or feel him or see him, whatever it was, but I could hear him in my mind's eye saying, yeah, that's a good idea. So straight away I just said, oh, he's just said, yeah, that's a good idea. So we never thought no more of it. And she left and she said, because she sent me a letter later on, and she said to me that when she got outside, she thought, oh, do you know what? I'll make an appointment now. She wasn't afraid. The way the message had been delivered, it was quite matter of fact, but it just put her into a space to, do you know what? I'll book that appointment now. So she literally booked the appointment to go and see the doctor. She ended up getting scans. She ended up getting colonoscopies. Anyway, there was something going on within the bowel. And what the doctor said is that, in a nutshell, what she told me, her father-in-law had saved her life through that reading. And I had no idea about what it was that he was showing me because it was nothing bad. It was more, well, it turned out to be bad. But what it was he was never telling me or showing me in a bad way because he knew I wouldn't work with that because that's not what I do. So he showed me in a way that I could communicate the message and action would have been taken by the lady in such a subtle way, but in a strong way, if that makes sense. Anyway, it all turned out, thankfully, in the end, and she got the treatment she needed. in time, and she was well, and she is well. So that is how I get my messages. Would I see anything bad? No. I might see something that needs, as I've just explained, subtly looking at. And spirit will know how I work, because they're so intelligent, how I work and how the person sitting in front of me would receive that message to the best of their ability, really, to know to do something with that information. Hope that makes sense. I've loved doing this with you guys today with these 3 messages. I hope that I'm not going to carry on because we're coming up to the end of the podcast, and I will definitely be back on doing some more of these messages. But please, if you've had an experience like this with me, or if you've want to ask the medium a question, please don't write in and say, can I speak to me dad or whatever. That has to be done through a reading, through one of me live events, platform events, or a one-on-one reading. Now, another thing I wanted to say before we wrap up today was I get lots and lots of messages saying, Anne-Marie, you're so booked up. You booked up until March and February next year. Is there any chance I can go on the waiting list? Unfortunately, I don't have an external waiting list. I only have an internal one. And what that means is that once you're booked in, you can send me an email and say, Anne-Marie, I've just booked in for March or February, and I would love to come and see you. Can I go on the internal waiting list? Now, people don't usually cancel. However, what they do is they might, because it's like 6 months in advance, they might contact me and say, Anne-Marie, I can't come that day now. Is it possible to come another day? And I'll try and swap it around. And what I do then is I offer them places to people on the internal waiting list. So I hope that makes sense. So please don't be put off by it's 6 and 7 months wait. I try to work as often as I can and see you guys as often as I can. But please book in and I will put you on the internal cancellation list, and I hope to get to see you sooner. And if not, come along to one of the live events. My next one is booked in for November. But it's all on my website, annemarielord.com. I've loved talking to you guys today. Thank you so, so much. Please subscribe and share this podcast. It means the world to me when you do that. And I look forward to talking to you soon. Have the absolute best day, my friend. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this show. It's important to note that while I'm here to inspire, encourage and guide you, I'm not a psychologist, psychiatrist or a doctor. Join me again in 2 weeks for more captivating revelations on the supernatural. Remember to be in with a chance to have your questions answered on the podcast. Subscribe to my newsletter at annemarielord.com. Stay in the tribe to vibe. I appreciate you guys. See you next time.